Welcome to the Just Be a Man podcast. Please note, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Each individual is providing their own independent opinion. Follow, like, subscribe, and comment at Just Be a Man 2020 on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. Also, expect new content every Wednesday on your favorite podcast app, including iTunes and Spotify. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and guests of Just Be a Man 2020 and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Five Nights Media, LLC and its subsidiaries.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Just Be a Man. Thank you for taking time out with us. This is our first live broadcast.
Oh, boy.
So be patient with us. So any of you who followed us in the past, you know that we consist of a group of 5, and you can see we're a little bit short right now. We have one who's running a little bit behind, and we have one that's under the weather. So we will get the full group together soon. But for right now, we're going to rock it by ourselves. So today our topic is, what should a woman bring to the table? Again, what should a woman bring to the table? I know obviously the women are thinking, the hell are you talking about? What are you bringing? But we dudes.
True.
So we can only talk about what we're looking for, right? So that's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to start with some information that I kind of gathered. And I want to run off a list of things that I found that are, I guess I agreed as good characteristics in what you would like a woman to bring to the table. So I'm going to go kind of slow so you can kind of hear everything. But first one is spirituality. Next is being emotionally available. Clear communication. It's a big one. Know what it is that you want and what you don't want. This is all under communication. Knowing what you want and don't want. Your plans for the future. Holding your mate accountable to the same standard you're willing to follow. All right, that's all communication. Stability, loyalty, intellect, a sense of humor, being playful, being able to take a joke, like to have fun, that kind of little stuff. Compassion and empathy, openness, sincerity and honesty, and most importantly, dealing with all these dudes out here, understanding. So that's the list that I came up with as some characteristics that I thought would be really important to make sure you want in your mate. So what I'm going to do now, Stefan, I read off a couple of things there. Did I miss anything big? Anything you would add to that list or take away?
She has to be appealing and
easy on the eyes.
Yeah, easy on the eyes. I mean, not that I'm the Idris, or the Eric Benet of the group. But I mean, she has to be appealing. Yeah, just threw a name out there. I mean, she doesn't have to be Nia Long, but if she's close, that's a bonus.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
See, I was trying not to be shallow, but thank you for picking up that shallow step.
But it's just important that she's appealing to the eye, and she feels the same way about me, because that boosts your self-confidence. It boosts your relationship and how you guys see each other.
So interestingly enough, I like that, Steph. Interestingly enough, obviously looks matter. Dudes are very visual. But on my list, I said nothing about sex, right?
I said nothing about sex.
I'm just saying. So right. I'm figuring if you got all these other things, that sex got to be good, right?
Yeah. If it's trash in a bed, then she's got to go. But we'll figure that out early. All
right. So we'd add that to your list.
Yeah, I would add that to the general list, not my personal list.
Of course, okay. Not you. That's just a lesser man. So Charles.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. What you think about that list? What would you add to that list? What would you take away?
I think the list is real solid, quite frankly. But I think I would add honor to the list. I don't think you mentioned that.
Okay.
Someone that not only honors me as a man, but honors themselves. There's a certain amount of self-respect that they need to have when they're away from me as well. I think all those things are critically important. And also it wouldn't hurt to, you didn't mention it, but bring some cooking skills to the table, some practical things, some good old fashioned cooking skills. I think it's a lost art these days. A lot of women are, they're working just as hard as we are. So I don't want to, make this about, them just not necessarily adhering to old style values because, these days men cook as well. But it wouldn't help to bring some of those things to the table. Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So I think that it's, I think that this is a good standard list, and I wanted to try to make it, kind of general so we can have some open conversation about it. So I have a few questions I want to put out there for you guys. And obviously this is my list. This is a list that I compiled, so I don't really have a whole lot to add to it, but I just want to mention, I was trying to take a big picture look at it. So that's what we got. I think I got Mike over here texting me while I'm trying to talk. Black people. Anyway, so I got a couple of questions I'd like to ask. So for this group, I am the only one that is not currently married, right? And so my perspective obviously might be a little bit different than you guys who've been married for a little bit. So first question to you two was, when did you know that your wife checked all the boxes? So when we talk about this list of all these things that we think they should have and should do, blah, 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 when did you know that you had the majority of that list accounted for? And I'm going to start with you, Charles.
Well, I think you figure those things out very early in a relationship. First and foremost, whether or not you're attracted to her, you know that immediately. And I was immediately attracted to my wife. The moment I met her, I knew, wow, she's a person that definitely checks that box. Now, as far as the other things, you find that out based on conversation, whether or not she has a good head on her shoulders, if she's about anything, if she has some substance about her, things of that nature. And again, I think you find out all these things very early on. It doesn't take long to figure that out. It really doesn't. So, although we were seeing each other for a couple of years before we ultimately got together and said, I do, I think I knew, I would say maybe within as early as 6 months that she checked the majority of the boxes that I was looking for.
All right. Very good. Very good. Stefan.
All right. Well,
how about you?
Hey, just to let you know, Mike has just joined the room, so we give him a couple seconds. But anyway,
what's going on there, Mike?
Make her boogie.
Hey, Mike, you're on mute.
Mike.
Here.
All right. So, Steph, I'm gonna let you catch up, Mike. But Steph, tell us when you knew that your wife checked all the boxes that you needed.
It didn't take me long. I would say probably about the fourth date. I just knew that we clicked, and it was just something about her. And she's much younger than I, but she just has that Southern charm with her. And she seemed like she would be a teammate, not someone that would kind of bounce back, and destroy the things that I was trying to build. And it's important, once she showed that she was going to be a teammate, that was it. We were good to go.
All right, that's good. Hey,
but
Mike,
you'll notice, real quick, Wayne, that the common thread here is the fact that it's something that is pretty well known in the early stages, because a lot of the brothers would just drag things out, knowing good and well that this person is not the one, but because perhaps we enjoy the sex or whatever the situation may be, we may continue to go along with it. But knowing good and well, we're not serious about this individual. So it's something that, again, I think it's a cruddy thing to do. sometimes where men sort of drag things out a little bit, knowing good and well that they're not going to marry this individual, but that, again, it's something that is not difficult to understand whether or not she is the one.
Okay, that's good. All right, so I think Mike is still kind of getting himself together there. He looked like he's frozen, but so let me ask you this. I mean, let's stay on that right now for being the one. So obviously, you guys, the one that you've married is the one, right? And there were some previously that you may have dated or spent some time with that were not the one, obviously, because you didn't even make that effort to do that. Again, how quickly did you know that they weren't the one?
Well, I tell you, I tried to work with one, and I saw an opportunity, that this person might be the one. So I gave her a few months to kind of work things out. But then after a while, I said, okay, yeah, this ain't the one. Let me just find an exit strategy and get out. And she provided an extra strategy for me. So it made life a lot easier.
All right. So again, it was early on, right? It didn't take forever. It was pretty quick. And Charles, you do the same thing?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I think you find out a lot about a person's character when you go through something, when there's some conflict in the relationship. And that's when the rubber really meets the road, because you find out a lot about the person's character. Because everyone in the beginning stages, they are putting forth their representative. Okay, they're putting their best foot forward. They're polite. They're engaging. They're doing all the things that they think the other person wants. But the real you begins to show up when difficulty strikes, when there are difficult discussions to be had and things of that nature. And that's really what tells you a lot about whether or not this person has the temperament that you could truly get along with. There was something out on the web today about the ability to continue your lovemaking, for example, when a person is angry. And I believe that the two, especially in marriage, are mutually exclusive. There have been times when me and my wife, we've been upset with one another, but we still handled our business because of the way we ultimately feel for each other. We could handle the difficult discussion afterwards, but we still took the time to care for each other's needs. You know what I mean? So you find out a lot about an individual when you go through some drama, some arguing, things of that nature, because again, the real person comes out in those moments, and what they say to you, oh my God, it's so revealing. With regards to what comes out of their mouth is truly what's in their heart. And I think, when you go through a few of those and you survive it, now you really know how you can deal with an individual.
All right. Thank you, Charles. And so, Mike, I'm about to come to you, but before I do, I just want to say, so I would agree with what you guys have said. Although I'm the dude that's not married, I know that when you're dealing with somebody, I think you can find out pretty easy or pretty early when they are the one, and definitely when they're not the one.
Well, Wayne, are you dating right now, or
that's kind of personal, ain't it?
Yeah, it is personal, but
just
at
like
the same
black
time,
people.
Yeah, no,
just
you can't.
Black people.
You can't slither away. You can't slither away with this one.
So I am dating.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm glad now that you made that clear to everybody.
Okay.
So yes, I am dating,
right.
And I am. Yeah, that's funny, right, Mike? Yeah, Steph, you a bastard. But anyway, yes, I am dating, and I have a good woman with me. So I knew right away. I knew real quick. So, but we're gonna see.
What did you know?
I knew that this was someone worth spending time with. I knew that, in a time where there's a lot of
unrest.
Well, here's one thing, real talk with me is that, during this time of quarantine, during this time of everybody kind of being locked down, you get a little bit reflective, and you also got time to think and sit And when you're dealing with somebody in a quarantine and a pandemic type situation, there's a lot of conversation. There's a lot more conversations than those walks in the parks or going to get ice cream or whatever. It's not just all fun stuff. You got to have something to talk about, right? You got to be able to communicate. So yeah, that's how it became a lot obvious. It became obvious quicker for me because you have conversations, you're able to talk to someone at length. Okay. I ain't gonna forget that, Steph. But anyway, before I get to you, Mike, so real quick, right before you joined, I read off a list of items that we thought were important for determining what was important for a woman to bring to the table in a relationship. And I'll go through them kind of quickly. The first one was spirituality, being emotionally available, clear communication. There's a lot of stuff to that. Stability, loyalty, being intellectual, a sense of humor, being playful, compassion, empathy, openness, sincerity and honesty, and last but not least, understanding. So Micah Boogie, now that you're with us, let your blood pressure come down a little bit. First of all, when was it that you knew that your wife checked all the boxes, that she was the one that you wanted to move further with?
I knew she was the one due to the fact, plain and simple, she made me happy.
Okay.
She made me happy. It was something simple. It was nothing out of the ordinary. The more we were together, the happier I became, and the same thing for her. And then that's when, all the other stuff, kicked in. The entirety of the woman, the sense of humor, the looks, the personality, what else? The voice, her laugh, the way she laughed, or whatever. We don't think about that as men, but it comes in psychologically. Those things kick in to make the whole package, the entire package, kick in. And then you're hoping that she's trustworthy. You'll learn that. You'll learn the honesty, the respect, and of course, it doesn't hurt to be a little financially stable. Because I do have a sweet tooth, so it's always good every now and then somebody buys some extra cakes.
That's a good one, Mike. That didn't come up on the list before.
Humble pie every now and then.
That's a good one. Financial stability.
What's that?
Financial. Having a couple bucks in the pocket.
Right. I don't think you should base your relationship on that, but I think it's helpful, especially if you're trying to build together and you're trying to attain things together. I think it's very important. But I think a lot of things people think it's this big crystal ball of stuff. It's happiness. If you guys can bond and make each other happy, simple stuff, by like sit on a couch, you watching one of her goofy programs, she watching one of your crazy programs, but she's willing to sit through it. You're willing to sit through it and not even think a second thought about it. I'm not a Hallmark dude, but I will sit through an episode, because she sat through my episode,
Got it.
So, but it's simple. Just keep it simple, man. All the other crazy stuff, keep it simple. But like, Charles said, it does, it does help, when it comes to the intimacy, that you are emotionally connected and you're physically connected, and your level is somewhat on the same level. You're actually at the same level with each other. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Some people have to build up and some have to bring it down. And another thing in a relationship, if one person is too hypersexual and the other one's not, sometimes that person brings himself up or that other person brings himself down. But the thing about it is the end result is making each other happy.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right. So go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead.
Yeah. Before we finish or before we move forward, if anybody out there in Facebook Live wants to comment or have any questions, please feel free to write something in the comment section, because we're actually monitoring it and we may be able to, answer some of your questions.
All right. Thanks, Steph. So at the beginning, we talked about these list of things, and I mentioned that this is what dudes are looking for. This is potentially a starting list of what dudes are looking for. And obviously women are looking for, they got their own list. So my next question is, what improvements have you made to yourself to benefit the relationship? So for example, let's say that your lady had some things that she wanted checked off that you didn't meet. How much effort did you do? How much effort did you put in doing that? Whether that was, I don't know, maybe you got to cook one night a week, or put gas in the car, whatever it was. How much were you willing to do? How much improvement were you willing to do to improve that relationship or to make that better? So I'm going to start with you, Steph. Maybe you got an example of something you did to improve it, or what you would be willing to do.
Well, I've got a couple things I have to improve on, but the great thing about my wife is that she doesn't beat me over the head and say, hey, you remember you promised me or you were going to do this?
Beat you over the head?
Yeah, beat me over the head, hit me with a baking pan, the small things like that. But no, there's some things I need to improve on. But I think the thing that kind of won me over and still is winning her mom and her family over is the fact that I am a family man. I enjoy being around her family. She enjoys being around mine. And, I ensure that she doesn't have to carry the whole load here in the house. I cook, clean, wash clothes, do whatever needs to be done just to make sure life is easier for both of us. So,
okay.
Those are just some of the things. But yeah, I've got some things I need to improve on and will in time.
Well, would you like to go through those things? If you're
No.
calling people out,
No. Oh, you're a sensitive lot you are.
So, Charles, so something that you may have improved on to benefit the relationship. One thing, maybe a change you made to the way you would do things.
Like some of you guys, this is my second marriage. And after my first marriage ended, I needed to do some honest self-assessment to become more self-aware in terms of, where I may have been dropping a ball, what I need to do better in my next marriage. And also I requested feedback from my current wife in terms of, what about me might be getting in the way? What do I need to work on? One of the things that we both identified was my lack of patience, as well as at times, my temperament could be a little off. I could be a little bit too serious, for example. So I had to work on those things. And, whether that's self-help books, whether that's videos, whether that's, even one of the men's classes that I attend at church, those type things have helped me to manage myself in those areas. But I think it's important to get feedback on a regular basis from whoever you're dealing with, because there are some things about ourselves that unfortunately we cannot see. The world sees it. Our mates definitely see it, but oftentimes we don't see it in ourselves. So helping each other with your blind spots is very important. And that is something that my wife has done very effectively in our relationship, is that, she's pointed some things out to me and forced me to face those realities. And in so doing, it's helped to improve the relationship.
All right. Okay. All right. So Mike, I don't know how you can improve on perfection, but maybe there's something you could have done to improve your relationship. So you got any examples, thoughts on this subject?
Let me tell you a story. First of all, my wife got a good catch. I'm a damn good catch. All right. I let her know that. So she couldn't have got a better catch. Her glove couldn't have been as big enough to catch this. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying to you. She caught a good one. All right. Way out in the field. You know what I mean? Something got in the eye. Bug got in the eye. She still caught me. That's what I'm talking about. She got a good catch. But I do have my faults. It's, because like they say, it's a man's world, but it'd be a damn thing. Not a woman or a girl. You know what I mean? So back to your point, my brother. Back to your point, I would just like to say that I need to learn, as you guys know, when y'all have a conversation with me, I tend to interrupt. That's my ADHD or ADD. I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot self-diagnose, but I do interrupt a lot. It's not on purpose, but it's just it's one of those things. That's one of my faults. And I think I needed to do that less. What I also needed to figure out was that I can't solve every problem that comes into the house. You can't solve everything, and you have to learn to be able to know when to hold them, know when to fold them situation. And just being overall self-aware. Like Charles said, you have to be self-aware of yourself. Know my limitations. You know what I mean? I grew up, I had asthma and bronchitis. I fought through that, man. So I understand what it's like, to be that way. So and I didn't get, I don't think I get reevaluated. I just got people just telling me, cussing me out. I'm used to it. I haven't bought, a special pair of earmuffs because I know when I come into the house, I'm going to have to hear it, but I don't really have to. Do I? Thank you.
So, all right. That's funny. That's funny. I think what I would say to this point is that I think that I guess the point that I was trying to get to here was that we have to improve ourselves. We're putting a list out there, what we want, what we expect, what we're trying to design as a perfect relationship or a perfect for us relationship. We have to know that there's things that we may need to adjust. And so that was kind of the ideal there.
Can I also say something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just also like to add too that somebody, I don't know, it's one of the guys who wrote a book back in the day, but sometimes I do cry in the dark.
Thank you for sharing. So how important is it to get along with your wife's family and for her to get along with yours? Charles, how important is it to get along with your wife's family and for her to get along with yours?
Well, obviously, the most important relationship that exists is the one between the man and the woman, especially if they're husband and wife. Everyone outside of that is pretty much sort of a second thought, if you will. It definitely helps if everyone's getting along and singing Kumbaya and all that good stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's most important that the two people that live in that house, that sleep in that bed, are the ones that are getting along. I don't think I necessarily have to see eye to eye with regards to every situation involving my in-laws, nor do I expect my wife to see eye to eye. I mean, luckily for me, we have a fantastic relationship with the in-laws on both sides. So don't get me wrong. But if that wasn't the case and someone was catching an attitude or someone just wasn't feeling my wife, for example, on my side of the operation, so to speak, I think it's important that I, first of all, take up for my wife, that I protect her in every way, shape, or form, because that's the most important relationship. And if that means that I have to put some distance between myself and members of my own family in order to make sure that my wife is cared for, then that's what I will do. Absolutely. But, in the end, I think it's nice if everyone gets along. It's just not necessary that, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case in order for a relationship to be successful and thrive, in my opinion.
Agreed. And so the reason I brought that question up is because if there is tension with in-laws or others' families, that can cause a problem with the two of you. Mm-hmm. So that could be a deal breaker, right? That could be that thing that makes you say, this ain't gonna work, right? So Mike, family, relations, you getting along with her people, she getting along with your people. What you think about it? You're on mute, brother. You're on mute.
Yeah, I had to unmute myself. Yeah. First of all, I would inform people not to take the bait. When you go to a family outing, don't take the bait. There's always going to be somebody that's trying to bait you in. Don't take the bait. If the worm come over to you, just push the worm away. It's like a fish and a worm. Just push it away. They keep trying to say stuff, whatever. And then, once you avoid that topic, then what you do is hopefully you're a social person. If not, you got to work your way in. But you got to try to find common interests with family members. Find that person that has that common interest. And once you get a hold of that one person, then everybody else is going to gravitate. to you. It's like, hey, let's see what they got to talk about. And once you start having a good conversation, as soon as you make that person laugh loud enough, people are gonna be like, what the hell are they laughing about? Let me just go over there and see what's happening. Then I got you. You come on in. I got you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
So don't take the bait and find common interest. Don't take the bait, find common interest. And like Charles said, have her back. Even if she in a situation with her family and they having some words or whatever, you might have to go stand behind her. Baby, everything okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Okay, let her know and let them know. You don't want none of that. Thank you.
Steph.
Well, I tell you,
short of starting a fight with somebody else's family, like Mike, what do you think about it?
Well, I really, honestly, Charles preached the word. I mean, I was ready to walk up to the altar and actually put $20 right in front of him. And I was ready to go ahead and open the doors of the church. Absolutely, you got to have your wife's back. I mean, the family it's nice to get along with the family. It makes it a lot easier. And luckily, in this relationship, both sides of the family, my wife and I, as well as myself, we all get along. So it makes it a lot easier. But I'll tell you, I've been in a relationship where the family was the problem. And,
of course.
Yeah, and the family actually showed that, hey, it may be time for me to move along because, this is not what I want in life.
And that's why the question, right? Because This can impact. You could think everything is straight, but you're like, she's real close with her people, and I can't stand them.
Right, and they
or vice versa.
Or they can't stand me, so they're going to do their best to destroy our relationship, and that's happened to me.
Right. Okay. Mike, you have some words?
Yeah. Also, I meant to say, when you go visit people's family, you might have to have a time limit or a secret code. You know what I mean? Tap, 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 knock 3 times on the window if you want me type thing. Do something like that. You know what I mean? Rub your eye, do a Prince move or something like that, and then go down. That means it's time to roll. Like somebody, it's time. We've been here too long. So remember, fellas, boom, boom.
I agree with Mike because you stuck in the house for 4 or 5 hours. After a while, it gets old. And it's time to roll, and we can come back the next day. But I've seen enough of you, and I don't want my wife to have to go through that as well.
Right. So that's good. Okay, so it's all good stuff. Hope everybody's getting something out of this. And just to reiterate what Steph said earlier is that we are live, and if you have comments, questions, anything you want to say, feel free to just type it in there. Steph's keeping an eye on it, right?
Yes, I am. And I also have Charles Castillo's Cash App available for anybody that wants to donate.
You got jokes.
I'm telling that brother preached the word.
All right.
Hey, hold on. We live?
We live, baby. We live.
Oh, I didn't know we live. I like to send a shout out to Hills High School in New Haven, Connecticut, to my coach. I would like to say thank you for giving me every opportunity. Thank you.
Hilarious.
God bless.
Oh, hilarious. So next question. All right, so we're talking about all these things related to finding what your significant other would be bringing to that table. So now, what would be unacceptable baggage? What if, let's say you with somebody for like, I don't know, a date or two, and then what could they, and you kind of still feeling it out, but maybe on that third date, they're saying something crazy. What could be crazy enough to make you say, you know what, I'm out? I'm gonna start with you, Mike.
I would like to. I would say that they keep mentioning their ex. They keep talking about the ex and how bad he treated her, what he did wrong, whatever. I still think that there's still some stuff to hang out in the line and dry out, and she's still wet. She's still angry, and we gotta. In order for it to move on, I think she needs to get her situation together. So that would be a red flag for me, keeping bringing up the ex and how he did her wrong. And, I hope you're not like that, trying to compare you to that person. That's a big turnoff for me. That's a big turnoff. We had the movies. If we was at the movies, she said something like that, I would just leave the popcorn right there, man. And you know how much I love popcorn. Thank you.
Steph, is
Mike,
there anything that's is unacceptable?
If you're going to be rude to wait staff, or just people in general, that's going to be a problem with me. If you sit there at the date and consistently taking selfies, or want me to take this picture for you or that picture for you, yeah. I mean, because that seems like you're self-absorbed or you're insecure. So that's a deal breaker. If you're going to sit and talk about your kids each and every opportunity you can, that could be a deal breaker, because it's about you and I, not the kids at this point. I don't even know these kids, and I may never know these kids. Let's talk about you and I, where we're going. So yeah, those could be deal breakers.
Okay. All right. And those are things that would make you go the other way.
Yeah. Now, of course, I want to tap it a couple times, but it's just me back in the old days. Anyway, okay. Let's be real.
You're gonna pay for that one, brother.
Oh well, no, that's back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Fix it, clean it up.
Yeah,
all right. So, Charles, what's unacceptable, brother? What would make you run for the hills?
Obsessive compulsive behavior. I had a situation where I had a female I was just seeing for a very short period of time. I'm literally 2 weeks. And she called me, and I was on an important call and couldn't pick up. And she was just blowing me up, call after call after call after call. Finally, I was able to end the important call that I was on, because I was on the call, and I think I was driving at the same time, so I couldn't text, right, and let her know that I'll call her back. Long story short, I was able to finally call her back, and she's going off because I didn't pick up the phone right away. And I'm again, this is someone that I only known for 2 weeks, bro. And here she is blowing me up, asking me who I was talking to, which was absolutely none of her business at that stage of the relationship.
Wow.
And that to me was a red flag immediately that I need to get the heck up out of Dodge. Okay. I no, that's a relationship I don't want any parts of, especially if I barely know you. I mean, just imagine what it would be like, months, years down the road. You know what I mean? So absolutely not. I had to bail on that one.
Okay. All right, Mike, you had something?
Yeah, I was going to say a red flag is when they get too drunk. If they get drunk on the first day, second day, it's a problem. Yeah, be careful with that. Also, hygiene. You meet somebody for the first time and they smell like Rare Essence, you got a problem.
Not the go-go band.
Yeah. And you said it. The word is go. They smell like Rare Essence. I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to do. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for asking me that question. Appreciate it.
Yo, Mike, you crazy. Yeah, what I would say is, I think for me, I don't know. Unfortunately, I think some of these things you can't find out right away. It takes a while to determine crazy, right? It's not because at first maybe it's just not, you're just not understanding, or you on a different page, but crazy. I mean, there's some crazy people out there. And when you realize that they crazy, unfortunately, it ain't always in the first or second dates. Sometimes it can go a lot longer than that. You're like, what the hell? So yeah, crazy, mentally unstable. How about that? Maybe crazy is politically incorrect or something, but yeah.
Hey, I have another one. Also, those females that want to just rush to the altar. You know what I mean? It's like, hold up, what's your last name again? I mean, have I met your family? You know what I mean? And you're talking, the M word already. Are you kidding me? It's like, let's take time to get to know each other. And I think those things are especially apparent when we start getting older, because people start feeling those biological clocks and they're trying to get this done, and they feel like, they found a good man. So what are we waiting for, sort of thing? But no, I mean, building a relationship, building trust, those types of things, it takes time. It takes a little time. And I think it's okay to have those discussions when you've been in a relationship for an extended period of time. And maybe, a year or so. I mean, I don't know what the date is for everyone on this particular podcast, but if you're talking about marriage, 2-3 months into a relationship, I'm sorry, you're way premature with that, in my opinion.
Okay. I got another question here, and it's kind of related to what we just talked about with this baggage thing. So think about a relationship that failed. Each of you think about a relationship that failed. And can you determine why it didn't work? Why didn't it work? All right. And we touched on that just a little bit with the baggage, but some of the failed relationships, why did it not work? It could be a dating thing. It could be a marriage if you want to talk about that, but something that didn't work, if you could kind of talk about that.
I mean, I'll jump in. When I'm in a relationship and the woman is no longer my piece, that's when I begin to struggle. And what I mean is that I should find contentment in that relationship. We don't have to be doing anything. That's the great thing about the relationship, my marriage right now, is that my wife and I could literally be sitting next to each other for a couple of hours and not say anything to each other. Or we could be, we could have like a 2-hour long conversation, just finding that contentment in whatever space that you're in. But if I'm with an individual and all there is drama and complaints and things of that nature, that to me doesn't feel good. That to me suggests that, I don't feel comfortable in this space, because we should be able to get along. Get along with someone should be easy. It should be natural. But when it comes to a situation where that's no longer the case, I mean, occasional spats, those are the norm. Every relationship goes through those. But if you are spending more time in conflict than you are in love and complacency and peace, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And that's where I've struggled in the past, is when relationships sort of, tip that scale towards dysfunctionalism. And once it's dysfunctional all the time and stress all the time and drama all the time, then it's time to either try to fix it big time. Well, it should have been fixed a long time ago before you got to that stage. But if it gets too far down that line, it may be irreconcilable. You know what I mean? It may be time for you all to go to your separate ways. I'm not an advocate for divorce. Let me just put that out there right now. I think if a couple gets married, they should be able to work that thing out, and literally till death do you part. Now, I sound like somewhat of a hypocrite because I have been through, a divorce in my lifetime due to some circumstances, but that's really not what I'm advocating. I'm not suggesting that if you are married today and you have a bunch of drama in your relationship, that you should walk away from your marriage. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying get the help that you need to fix it so that you can rebalance that scale towards peace. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So I'll go right quick. If I think about a relationship and why it failed, so real talk, everybody plays a role, right? There's two of you and you each play a role in that. And so what I would say is that I think that people, you kind of hear it in the movies, on TV or whatever, but you're growing apart, but that's real. Right. If you got one person that's trying to strive for something and another person who's content with where they at, that's it becomes heavyweight. Or if you're both going, one's going left and one's going right, those are problems. And so those are some things that I know that I dealt with. And that was just something that says, at some point I have to be moving in a direction that made sense to me. You kind of feel like you do a lot, you give up a lot, you sacrifice a lot, but at some point you're done taking L's. Like I got to move. I got to get a win somewhere. So Mike, something that didn't work, something that failed. Why do you think it failed?
Well, I would say that communication is important. Once the communication fails and breaks down, then the dual dependability breaks down, the dual reliability breaks down, and then all hell breaks loose when the emotional support breaks down. And the hard part is knowing when to let go. And hopefully there's no kids involved, whatever. But once that happens, and you realize that you get to the point where you can't even sleep in the bed with that person, or you don't want that person's skin touching your skin in the bed, That's bad. You know, it's time to go. You know what I mean? It's crazy. When you touch their skin and you pull your leg away. Now, we know we crazy. When we in the bed with a woman and they touch our leg and we pull our leg away, like, I don't want no parts of that. I mean, you are totally disconnected. You know what I mean? So,
got it.
And then that comes to the point where, you know, there's giving up and there's letting go, and you just got to know when. You know, there's giving up and people still stay in a relationship because they give up. But you got to realize, you know, when it's time to really let go and move on. And don't get to that point, because that's the worst ever. I don't wish that on nobody, be in the same bed with somebody, man, and you touching their skin and it don't turn you on, it turn you off, or it makes you want to get up out of bed or in your sleep. You know what I mean? You sleeping and you touch that person's skin and it wake you up like, you know, what the, you know, it's crazy. You know how I am about the, you know how I feel about the yams. We ain't even, that's another topic. But you know how I feel. But if somebody touch my leg and I don't want me to be no parts of it, you know I'm out. I am emotionally, psychologically, and physically gone.
All right. Steph, finish us up here.
I'll tell you, I think Mike kind of nailed it as well as Charles. I've been in relationships where I tried to fix the problem, and it was beyond me being able to fix it. It was beyond even medical professionals being able to fix it. So once you get to that point, you just got to let it go. Not like Mike brought up. Not every fish should be reeled in. Some fish need to be thrown back out in the sea. And I had to learn that the hard way.
Okay. All right, I like that. So, fellas, I think we had a pretty good show. Is there any final thoughts anyone would like to bring up? Or Steph, did we get any comments that we need to address?
No, we didn't get any comments. We did, Chuck did chime in and says, look good, fellas. So we do have a few people watching us, and we'd like to, of course, get more comments in the future. But no comments.
Well, again, this is our first live session. I think we did all right with it. You know, I think we'll get better as time goes on. But we thank you guys for your time and spending a little bit of time with us. Hopefully, we said something that is useful. Mike has some other words he'd like to bring up.
Yeah, I'd like to send a shout out to my brother Sean. I want to say, Sean, I love you. I ain't seen you in a while. Call me. All right. We got to rake the leaves at Uncle Artist's house.
Where to use it? Won't he do it? So anyway,
we will.
Again, hey, find us on all social media platforms. Find us on all your podcasting apps. We're on Alexa. Alexa, play Just Be a Man. See what happens. Mm-hmm. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we said something that you guys can relate to, and maybe you may have learned something, or maybe you got some comments for us about what we said, then tell us why we don't know what the hell we talking about. Anyway, until next time, thank you for joining again. Peace and blessings, and
deuces.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Just Be a Man podcast. Be sure to check us out on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or YouTube, where you can follow, like, subscribe, and comment at Just Be a Man 2020. We will love to receive your feedback. Also, if there is a topic you would like us to discuss, please leave it in the comments. Remember to tune in next Wednesday for more meaningful discussion. Until then, we wish you peace and blessings. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and guests of Just Be a Man 2020 and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Five Nights Media, LLC and its subsidiaries.